Today, we ride the lightning right into Empire City to find John, the raysphere, and sow a little havoc with the gangs running the place. Before I get started, I want to say make sure to like and share the content. It really does help. Also, to check out Katophoenix down below. She's done an excellent job with this piece. Now let's bolt. Inspired by comic books and using in-game comics as cutscenes, Infamous was intended to be a departure from the earlier series Sly Cooper, and wanting it to be something very different. Developed across 3 years with a smaller team of 60 people and uses Batman, No Man's Land as inspiration for the setting, that being a city right after a major disaster. Infamous is a third-person action game with an open world and a focus on a variety of electricity-based powers, and a freedom of movement not often found in the genre outside of games like Spider-Man 2, with a large focus placed upon the parkour system of every single building being climbable. You are Cole McGrath, a bike delivery man who is on his way to deliver the package when he is instructed to open it. When he does, the package explodes out a huge burst of energy, killing normal humans and activating conduits all over the city. Upon waking up in the crater, bruised, burned, and battered, you start to try to make your way out of that part of town and back to the Neon District. Along the way, several times you are struck by electricity, and on your way across the bridge, you are struck again, triggering a lightning storm. Once you pass out, the game begins proper. Honestly, I really like this game's story, and how it changes so much depending on if you play good or evil. Cole has the capacity to be either the savior of the city, or the vicious villain who does whatever he wants. The karma system is really well implemented and affects large parts of the gameplay, from changing up what powers you get and how they work, to how the population reacts to you at large, and really increasing the immersion. Open world action with a large maneuverable city, and fun powers that make it even more fun to fight and navigate. The gameplay is very good and quite varied, with a large variety in the missions, side missions, enemies, and powers. You've got such missions like Stalk the Juggalo, Breaking Big Brother, the 4-man BDSM exhibition, Medical Malpractice, Kidnapper Killing, Speedy Spotlights, Gangland Gangbang, Police Brutality, and more. Along with the other optional collectibles such as the Dead Drops, which provide more lore and information scattered throughout the city, and blast shards, which you have to collect a certain amount to increase the amount of blast cores you have, increasing how long you can fire off before you have to recharge. There is certainly always something to do in Infamous, and I appreciate how much variety they put in to make the missions not all feel the same thing over and over again. Such as the substation runs, which while yes, you basically go and flip the power back on in a region, but each time you do, you get a brand new power up, and that section from the start to the end serves as basically a tutorial on how to use the power. Infamous is probably one of my favorite games to play, just due to the sheer variety, not to mention the fact that the karma system encourages you to do a second run to see exactly what changes for each run, and there is a lot of changes, such as the fact the citizens act completely different to a hero versus a villain. A hero character, the citizens will join in on the fight, throwing rocks and such to distract the enemies and to aid you in taking them out, while a villain will be attacked on the streets, with them attempting to swarm and beat you to death. The game also uses EXP that you gain via defeating enemies, healing citizens, draining foes, performing tricks, and completing missions. This experience is used to increase your powers, which unlock more levels as your karma progresses more towards your chosen side. The controls feel pretty good, especially the climbing, basically point your stick and hit X and you're off. Sometimes you'll catch on the wrong thing and do something silly, but it's pretty easy to reorientate yourself. The fighting feels intense and fun, with the variety of powers all being bound to different buttons and modifiers that serve to squeeze the most out of a controller. And out of the several hundred hours I've put into the game, I've only managed to make the camera spaz out once when it got stuck under a train track. A decent variety of enemies exist, with 3 factions, 4 if you count the city on the evil route. Each faction has several tiers of enemies, including the rank-and-file street soldier, a rocketeer of sorts, several different conduits, which are people who have gained powers due to the raysphere activating a gene inside them, and a boss who controls the faction. Doing side missions weaken each faction, cutting off territory they control and making them less prevalent, and making it safer for you to navigate the city without a near constant firefight. Immersive and entertaining, the game does an excellent job of sucking you into the role of Cole and into the world around you. As you help people, they'll praise you and thank you. As you fight evil, they'll fight alongside you, or vice versa. They'll damn your name and attempt to bring you down with sheer numbers. The world is very nice and fluid, with a large variety to ensure you never get bored. Dark and ominous music alongside action-packed pumping beats. It's a damn solid OST. Nothing too crazy, but it definitely fits the tone and atmosphere the game is trying to set. The music definitely goes along nicely when stuff is going on, or when the game slows down and you watch the story unfold to have that tense and ominous music playing. The sounds are also pretty good. I love the crackle and zap of the electricity, the sound of your enemy's life force being drained out of them, civilians crying out praise or damnation. The voice acting in general is pretty good, especially characters like Sasha, who play out their mad role with small glimmers of the person they were before the blast. Not bad, especially as early open world games go. The graphics look pretty good, with plenty of detail on models, buildings, and such. Though the game does have lots of pop-ins and such, this is much more noticeable when you're going around the city fast, and the game is trying to render in the more detailed models to keep up. It's not a big deal as it doesn't cause any real issues, but it can be somewhat distracting for people. I didn't notice any lag though, so the pop-ins are probably to keep the lag to a minimum because it isn't fully rendering the entire city in full HD the entire time. I did notice some issues that happen sometimes when you pick up dead drops, where they won't play right and John's face just sits in the bottom left hand corner with no audio. This is fixed by saving the game and reloading the save, and then it'll work right. While a solid game, it does have some downsides. The camera can get stuck and will spasm out a bit before correcting itself or you forcing it back out of the loop. The game does also have pop-ins that can be much more noticeable as you zip around the city on, say, train rails. And the dead drop bug can be annoying as it prevents you from listening to other dead drops until you load the game again. And I did encounter this bug twice. Overall, Infamous is an electrifyingly good time. It's a good shock to the PS3's lineup, with a shockingly good story and characters. Infamous is able to make the circuit and take home the gold. I better bolt before all these puns get me fried. But seriously, the first Infamous is a standout game and feels really unique. While there is some minor technical bugs, they are not severe or game-breaking, just a slight annoyance. Overall, I hope you liked the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment about the video or the game, and share with your friends. But before we go, I'd like to give one last shout out to the lovely Kato for her great work. Check her work out down below as well. This has been Cor, and I'll see you next time.